Hello, and welcome to another episode of Yummy Data Science. In this series, we are talking about understanding healthcare claims data and related analytics. And today, we are going to focus on key elements of facility claim. In the previous video, we talked about the fact that facilities are brick and mortar buildings. So you can see I've got a picture icon of a building, and that's to reinforce the concept that facilities are buildings. What are some examples of facilities? Hospitals is an example. So is a skilled nursing facility. Now, the way that facilities bill for services rendered is through a type of form called 1450. And you don't have to worry about the number so much. And there's also an electronic version of it. And what I've done is I've taken pictures of the form and I've pasted it here for your understanding. I haven't done the whole form, but I've taken pictures of it to illustrate the key elements. So the whole purpose of the form is to invoice, and it is invoicing for the treatment given to the patient based on the diagnosis. And there are two portions to the form. Or if you're looking in a database and you have all your data there, then you will see most likely you will have a file with the claim header and a file with the claims detail. And if it's not organized like that, you might have a different way of organizing it where you have the claim header and the claim detailed joined together. And a little bit more on that later. But let's just first focus on the claim header. So the claim header and its key elements are number one, type of bill. Type of bill simply, and it's over here, see in the form, in the paper form. A type of bill has three elements in it, but what I'm going to tell you about is the first two elements, which is number one, what type of a facility is it? So, for example, is it a hospital? Is it a skilled nursing facility? And secondly, is it an inpatient or an outpatient? Okay. So that's type of bill. You can see here that number 6 says statement covers period from and through. And usually there is an admission date, but there is no discharge date. So you have to kind of figure it out from looking at the statement through. And for really really long length of stay, the hospital or the facility may bill your insurance payer intermediate claims. So, and so you kind of have to do some logical thinking and programming and figure out which is the last claim, and then taking the through date on that becomes your date of discharge. So the next set of codes that is available, and you can see this in this 6.6, DX. DX stands for diagnosis, and this is ICD diagnosis codes. There are many ICD diagnosis codes on the claim, and as well as present on admission flags. These are yes/no flags. Was this diagnosis present on the admission? And ICD stands for International Classification of Diseases. We are currently on the 10th version, and if I'm not wrong, and I could be, there are about 100,000 different codes. And what do I mean about codes? I'll be talking about this later on in my video on healthcare codes, but suffice it to say, so these are condition codes. Diabetes would be an example of a diagnostic code. And then obviously there's a structure and a nomenclature to these diagnosis codes. In a facility claim, there are also ICD procedure codes, and these procedure codes are usually used for surgeries. And that's all I'll say about procedure codes. In a later video, when we work with the data, I might talk about this some more. So that's on the claim header. All this information is on the claim header. And one thing you'll notice is that ICD codes, as I mentioned, there are several of those. So, and correspondingly, there are several of the admission flags. So you can already probably see it on your head that when you are working with this file, it's a very wide header file. You probably want to make it long. And I'll be talking about that in a subsequent video. So the second section of the claim form is the detail section. So this is actually the billing part. And this is saying what department did the service come from. So here's the revenue code, and then this will give you a department, it will give you a description, and it will give you a health code. And let's again not worry about it so much, but let's just say that this is for invoicing. And so for example, if it's ER, revenue code will correspond to ER. And then the HICPIC will correspond to what was done. And then there's a date, the number of units, and the total charges. And the way that these two files are combined is through the claim line. And a claim ID can have many claim lines. So the joint relationship between the header and the claim detail is one to many. The sources for this video were my 2 books and years of experience working with healthcare claims. I also have a number of classes that I do for companies and groups. One is maximizing value and insights from your healthcare claims, and the other are AI-powered data engineering and AI-accelerated data science. And these help you not only increase your productivity, efficiency, make you better faster, but also bring back the joy in learning about data engineering and data science. And it's just, they empower you to do a lot more in your career. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. On to the next one.